me get my stick ready while we waiting on some folk. I apologize. We couldn't do the live yesterday because we got customers in the cigar lounge, so we weren't able to do it. Quit hiding, because they can see your shoulder. We weren't able to do it, but today we're gonna go ahead and do it. It's a little bit later in the evening. Don't have anybody here right now. You know, I'm gonna get some people time and get my stick going. If anybody comes to the lounge, this is by Big Boys with a Z, based here in Atlanta. Gentleman went to a Dominican, started his own lounge. Started his own farm. So we selling Big Boy cigars in here. This is the vintage. You know, I got to have
I didn't know that was Big Boy.
my stick while we get ready for this. We're gonna be going through Genesis 11 and 12. Get this. Let me show y'all. This is toasting the cigar. So we're finna toast up this information. We're gonna toast it up. We're gonna smoke out the good stuff and the bad stuff. A whole lot of bad stuff. So we're gonna be talking about Genesis 11 and 12 tonight. Let's try to stay on subject. We're gonna try to stay on subject. How's everybody doing? Let me know who you are and where you at. And I appreciate everybody who, if you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, I need you to get to subscribing to the YouTube channel. We at about 5,500 people on YouTube. I want to get to 10,000 before the year's out. 10,000 subscribers before the year's out. Got a cherry in the middle. 10,000 subscribers before the year is out on YouTube. Yes, indeed.
That can be done.
It's like the kingpin up in here.
I want to see it. You gotta rotate it. Get it nice. It's a nice smooth cigar right here too.
It smells good.
Thank you, baby. Thank you, baby. Sorry. I'm so rude. Introductions.
Yeah.
This is the beautiful Wakila.
Hello.
Shabazz, Lady Shabazz. She's joining me tonight. I tricked her.
Yes, he did. That's all right, though.
I tricked her. She came over here, thought she was just visiting. We're going to do this live tonight. We're going to do Genesis 11, 12. Now, some of Genesis 11, 12, just get some family lineage. But it starts out with a pop and 12 ends with a pop. We're going to start out straight up with some mess right off the bat. Now, you know, I'm giving it to about that 3.5, 4 minute mark. Then we're going to get started. Got my water. Got my stick. Got my lady. Got my knowledge. Got my hat on. We ready. Ain't nobody told me who they are or where they from. You know. I don't know what the holdup is. I don't know who out there. Any super chats are very welcomed, and I appreciate them. Because then we can get like a ring light and cameras. Not, you know what, y'all super chats don't do that. I'll do that on my own, but it's just greatly appreciated. All right. What's that? Mr. and Miss Kemp up in Alabama.
All right now.
Alabama in the house. After Georgia, roll tide. After Georgia. We're going to roll tide. All right. But we hitting that 4 minute mark, so we're going to go ahead and get started because we're not going to hold y'all here all night. Of course, you know I like to answer any questions as we go through this. So, as a slight recap, I got to do a slight recap just at the ending of chapter 10. Chapter 10 in Genesis, and it's very important that we go back. Hey, how you doing? I'm gonna say your name so wrong all the time. Rotier or Rotrez, RT. Gotcha, RT. So
I hope you're right.
I hope I'm right too.
Yeah.
See, so if you look at the end, if you look at there you go. That you helped me out so much right there, Jose. Thank you, Jose.
Yeah.
I can get down with Jose. Because I'm messing up your last name, and I hate butchering people's name. All right. What? That red glow is trying towards the bottom right now. Here we go.
With
Yeah, that better.
no.
That better right there. So, hey Stephanie. Hey Stephanie, life is so good. Look good on me. Mm-hmm. You can take the glass out. Look good, huh? How you doing? How you doing? So,
Extra.
anyway, in chapter 10, around verse 4, oh, it means three. Why am I not being able to? Rotis, just a nickname, Now, I know the Rotis from the Trinidad. Go to the Roti house. I know it's
Okay.
probably different. But the Roti house in Trinidad, the Trinidad, there's a Roti house here, the Trinidadians.
Oh, it is.
Woo, a good roti. Oh, Rockweiler. Gotcha. Oh, Rotis. Man, you got me thinking about rotis, man. You get a good roti, that thing is good.
That's okay. We can still go.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind.
So,
There you go.
there's a hole in the wall too, but it's good.
That's all right.
Oh, don't even look at the health score. so,
Totally ignore it.
so verse 10,
Come on.
chapter 10.
All right.
All right. Verse 4. In Genesis,
Yeah.
it says, after it tells you about the lineage of Jephthah and all his children, right?
Japheth.
Oh, you're a Boika? All right now. Probably know what I'm talking about some roti there.
right.
You might know a little something. So chapter 10, verse 4, if you read Genesis chapter 10, verse 4, it says that as the children of Jephthah spread out amongst the world, and these are the children of Noah after they was on the cruise, because it was a cruise,
That's some cool.
right?
All right.
That they spread out to many nations and spoke and all had different languages. So we got that, right? We got that. I know, isn't that right, Stephanie? Roti is on fire. I gotta get one of roti. So it says they all spoke different languages. In Genesis chapter 10, with the children of Jephthah. Now, we start in Genesis chapter 11. Now, that 11, Georgia talk. If you can count, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Yeah.
So that means it comes after, right?
Right after.
Right after.
Yeah.
So chapter 11 started out with, now the whole world had one language and common speech.
But it just said
What did it say?
it said that everybody had their own language.
Right. The children of Japheth had their own language.
That was just the last chapter. That's how they ended.
That's how the last chapter.
Yeah.
That they all had different languages.
Okay.
But I guess the redactors, the editors of Genesis, they were different who wrote chapter 11 because they didn't know or didn't realize that it just said that they all had different languages. That in itself is a contradiction. Yeah, it's a contradiction. Already, before we even get started good, it's already proven itself to be messed up. And here's the thing. If these men who wrote the book, supposedly Moses wrote this book, one dude. If one dude is writing this book, he must have had like a 4 or 5 month break in between writing and he forgot what he wrote.
That's possible.
It's possible. He
That-
might have.
yeah,
Because
that sound-
I'm
that
writing a
sound-
book right now and I have to go back and reread it to figure out what the hell I just wrote. But the thing about it is, here's the other part of this understanding. They say that this book is the inspired work of God. That these men didn't just write these books, and they were imperfect men, and they wrote this book. They were inspired by God to write this book. So if God's inspiration is having you write a book, and God is not the author of confusion, then this mistake wouldn't be here. And this is an easy mistake. It just wouldn't be here.
See, that's because that's not what God does.
Right, because
God doesn't write books.
he don't write, but he inspired the men to write this book.
Okay.
And therefore, if he wrote it and you don't want to confuse the people, then what you would do is not make these kind of errors. Because
Absolutely.
these errors are the things that created me. Because it was these types of errors that made me question
Yes.
the legitimacy of God being the author through these men of this book of Moses. the guy who genocides people, as he's, later on when we get into Exodus. Oh, and by the way, we're gonna start doing these videos more often than just on Tuesday.
You are, yes.
Yeah, I am. Sorry.
Yes, I am.
What y'all think about that? If the previous chapter just said that people spoke different languages, but the very first sentence in 11 says that they had one common language. Now, and understand this, the division of the chapters didn't come about, like when Moses wrote it, he wasn't saying, okay, that's the end of chapter 10, so now I'm going to write chapter 11. He's just writing, and he just goes into this aspect of it, because the chapters and verses were not part of the original text. So this people divided it up into these easier ways to you to just take chunks of it. But so when he was writing it, he wrote 10, Jace fat, these his children. His children start spreading all over the world, and they had many different languages.
Okay.
Because he's writing what he knows. But then he gets into 11, and he just says, now the whole world spoke one language, and one common speech.
I would say that would show that the same person didn't write. Didn't write the book, or didn't write the chapters, because that doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. Now, Jose just said, I always thought that one common language was the one of merchants, right? I have never heard that in my life.
Me either.
I have never heard that. Now, if I'm a teacher over this doctrine, if I'm a pastor, priest, and I'm trying to teach people then I might make up something like that.
Yeah.
But that's not anything that was ever in reality, that it was one merchant. Like, I've never, ever heard that.
I've never
before.
heard that.
Right. It's just like when I tell people that a pastor, the first pastor who caused me to really start questioning things is when he when he said, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle from a rich man in the gates of heaven, that he held up a sewing needle and said the camel can't get through this, because that was his frame of reference for an eye of a needle.
But that was not the eye of
But
a needle.
nobody, I don't know anybody else who had a pastor that told him that kind of thing. Oh, Errol, he said he got the Kabbalion and it blew his mind. You are so very welcome. That was from last week.
Okay.
That was from last week. The Kabbalion is, y'all read that Kabbalion? Oh, Jose said that was his conclusion. Well, there's no biblical evidence or records, and we're doing what Christians keep saying that I need to do, that y'all need to do, and that's go back and read your Bible.
Yeah.
So as we just read the Bible, and this is what they base everything on, just reading the Bible. It don't say nothing.
Say that.
It don't say nothing about merchants. It just, and plus, it's just saying the whole world. Now the whole world is like saying all, and all means all, and that's all means. So he's saying the whole world had one language, one common speech. And we're gonna keep going, because we can stay there all day, really. I can do a whole sermon just on that.
They've done it from us. So yeah.
But now, understand, because y'all know we mix. I'm gonna tell you the Sumerian parts that they co-opted for all of this as well, because during that time frame, according to the Anunnaki story, it doesn't tell you that everybody spoke one language. It didn't tell. It told you that man only had one language. But in the Anunnaki story, it never said that Jeshaphat had different languages. So the Sumerian story would actually follow in line with that, and saying that they all spoke one language, except what they were talking about in the Sumerian story is that they all had the ability to use. So let me scratch that. It doesn't say they had one language. It said that they all had the ability for communication around the world.
Okay.
And we're going to get more into that as we go through these first 9 verses. So in the Sumerian story, there was communication centers in America, in Egypt, in Babylon, in Europe, Stonehenge, all these places that got pyramids. There were communication devices throughout all these places, so the world was able to communicate. And in more respectfully, during this time in the Sumerian story, you got Marduk and Enlil in a battle, in a war. So this area was the main battleground, kind of like World War II happened, but most of the fighting was done in Europe and in the Pacific, But
Okay.
there wasn't fighting in sub-Saharan Africa. There wasn't fighting in America or South America. But they call it a world war, right? Because most of the countries of the world were involved. So when you got this battle between Marduk and Enlil's forces were able to communicate all around the world, and so was Enlil's forces able to communicate all around the world. And there's two different variations of the Tower of Babel. When you do look at the Sumerian, we're going to cover both of them, right? So, verse 2. As people moved eastward, they found a plain in Shiar and settled there. They said to each other, now this plain in Shiar is modern day Babylon, all right? Modern day Babylon. Well, modern day Iraq, but back then it becomes it's Babylon. They settled there. They said to each other, "Come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly." They used bricks instead of stone, and tar for mortar. Then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we will be scattered all over the face of the earth." All right. So these people, now first, here's the thing. This is right after the flood. Noah and his wife didn't have any children, any additional children. You got the three brothers, their wives. They started having some children. And then they spread out. And they started having some more and more children. Everybody started having sex with their cousins and all that kind of stuff. And they had some more children.
Okay.
Who are you building a city?
I was just.
Now, if they had said we're building a town,
Sales, a city.
but they're building a city. And that word in Hebrew actually means a large, walled city. Something big. But just like when Cain left his mother and father after he murdered Abel, he found his wife and they built the cities. Just like the other video, Nimrod went out and built all these cities. There ain't enough people on the planet at the time frame, according to this story, for all these cities. But they went and built cities, because otherwise they'd be scattered all over the world. Anthropologically, this is when man started grouping together. They started understanding farming, and once farming came into play, they could then live together. You started having more cohesive communities instead of just a bunch of wanderers and sheep herders and gatherers. Right? Verse 5. Read. But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower the people were building. Now, this large size Lord, most people recognize that as a difference between God as large size Lord, lowercase Lord is angels. But in the Sumerian story, Lord equals Yahweh, which equals Enki, right? So Enki came down and saw this, right? And he's saying it. But of course, in the Sumerian story, this word also, so that would, some people who convert the Bible into the Sumerian story, they would say that. But unfortunately, the word is actually the one that's synonymous with Enlil, with Jehovah. So this is Enlil coming down. He's above the city. He sees, now understand, this city, this area was controlled by Marduk, his enemy. So he's flying above in his spacecraft, basically, and he sees it, because the Lord had to come down. So he didn't just poof himself there. He got to descend. And the Lord said, if as one people speaking the same language, they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their languages so they will not understand each other. This God wants us all to be one. Wants us to be peaceful, love each other, take care of our neighbors. I mean, according to the doctrine.
Okay, because I was about to say,
According to
because
the
that's not what this says. This says he went down to confuse their language.
Right.
So they wouldn't understand. Why?
So why would
you do that?
if you are a loving, peaceful God, why would you do this? Now, people will say in the church doctrine, it's going to be, they're going to tell you that because man didn't have hubris, man was arrogant, man was thinking that they could be God, and that sort of thing. But if you look at these ziggurats that are in Babylon, which is what most think the Tower of Babel was, is a ziggurat. These were temples of worship to give praise to their God, to give praise to Baal. These weren't, oh, we trying to become Baal. Just give praise. If you look at it from the Sumerian point of view, this is Enki, Enlil, and them saying, well, Enlil especially saying that, hey, if man can come together and do this, then they will not maintain being our servants and slaves, and we can't have that because the Sumerians were having uprisings all around the world from their from their slaves, which is a normal thing for humans to do. We don't like being slaves, right? So they came and confused the language. Now, in the Igbo story, in the Yoruba story rather, well, yeah, and the Igbo story as well, it talks about how man was becoming too intelligent, communicating too well with each other, and so they put something in the atmosphere that dumbed man down and confused their language. So this is, so if you think about it, this Igbo story is also, that's, the story of the Sumerians, because the Sumerians want to keep man dumb. He doesn't want you to elevate. Doesn't want you to open your crown chakra. Doesn't want you to open your third eye. Doesn't want you to do all
So
those
the
kind of things.
Sumerians want?
Yeah, they don't want you to do that because we were constructed as a slave race,
Okay.
according to the Sumerian story.
Okay.
And man is supposed to be this beast of burden to serve the Anunnaki.
Okay. Okay.
So
I don't know that story too
Right.
well.
now, from the other Sumerian story, this tower wasn't a communication tower. This tower was a missile launching tower, which allowed for Marduk's people to shoot missiles into Enlil's territory. It's kind of like during Desert Storm. We pushed up into Bahrain, but we were able to shoot missiles, Patriot missiles, from Bahrain to Kuwait. And then once we took Kuwait, we was able to shoot missiles into Iraq. And even in the next war, we was, Gulf War, we were able to do that. So put it in that psyche that Marduk built this tower that allowed him to shoot missiles. But if we stick with the communication idea, the language aspect of it, by Enlil coming down and messing around with this, it caused Marduk's enemies to not be able to communicate with each other. And if you understand warfare, it's two things you have to disrupt in order to weaken your enemy, and that is their ability to communicate and their ability to get supplies. But if you weaken the communication, you automatically weaken their ability to get supplies, therefore enabling you to win the war. Okay? But in this story, the loving God, and did you see anything in there that said that the people were trying to be like God, or the people were trying to think of themselves as God?
Let's make this turmoil. Then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves."
Right. Now, see, people take that we make a name for ourselves.
Okay. Otherwise, we'll be scattered over the face of the whole earth. Okay.
Now, their reason wasn't to be like God.
No.
They said, let's make a name for ourselves, make ourselves pop. It's like nationalism.
Okay.
Let's make a name. Let's build America, make a name for ourselves that people want to be American, be proud to be American, and not get scattered all over the world. Think about some of these countries where they may have resources, but they're not treating their people well. So the people don't want to be there, so they leave. If the people are leaving, then you're giving away your resource, your human resource. You don't invent as much. You don't elevate in technologies. You don't build a stronger army. You don't do any of those things. Your nation remains weak, right? In the same way that in America, when they had the Trail of Tears, they wanted the land that they stole, but they also, moving these native people around creates a situation where they can't coalesce together and continue to fight. When the Seminole Wars was going on, they didn't like the fact that slaves who left the plantations went and joined the Seminoles to fight those wars, enabling the Seminoles to withstand the Spanish and the Americans a lot longer, because there were 7 Seminole Wars, because the people were able to come together. But if you can scatter the people, pretty much divide and conquer, right? So the people weren't trying to be like God. They was trying to keep their families together, keep their nation together, build their nation. They don't say anything about them trying to be like God, but
No.
I guarantee you in a lot of your teachings, they told you that the people were trying to be like
Yes.
God,
Yeah.
right? Which that was not the case. That's not what it says. Doesn't say that at all.
What you mean?
So we have to be able to get away from that idea of them trying of that doctrine. So that shows you a false doctrine that they just teach, and that's just doctrine. There's nothing here that says that. They were trying to be like God. So let's continue. Let's continue. And verse 7. Oh no, come let us confuse their language, and they will not be able to understand each other. So the Lord scattered them from there all over the earth, and they stopped building the city. Now, I thought they had already, because in verse 10, in chapter 10, it talked about how, you know, certain people, they moved and started other nations and all this sort of thing. So the people are already all over the world, but here it's telling you that the Lord then scattered them all over the world. In the Sumerian story, they did pick up clumps of people groups, and moved them to the mountains in you know, the Indus Mountains, and moved them all over the world. So according to the Sumerian story, they did that just so that they can mine more gold and serve more of the people. So it served more of the Anunnaki, because Anunnaki kept fighting, and Anu was like, I'm tired of y'all fighting, so I'm gonna divvy up the world and get out some land. Kind of like how the Belgium, they divvied up Africa and split people, didn't care nothing about their traditions or their tribes, and just split them up, right? So it said he moved around because he didn't want them to build. So again, just like in the Garden of Eden, where you have Jehovah God, Enlil doesn't want man to grow in its divinity. Doesn't want man to grow in its ability to take care of itself and develop and become like the Anunnaki, a more technologically advanced group. This God don't want y'all to be together. Doesn't want y'all to come together. Want y'all to stay separate.
God will not let y'all be great.
Mm-mm.
God is not going to let you be great. Okay? It's all about him.
And look at what we got. We got people groups today. I'm Jewish. I'm Muslim. I'm Hindu. I'm Buddhist. I'm an American. I'm this. I'm that. We find so many divisions and ways to divide ourselves. But but this Lord already does it for you. He's showing you right here that he wants you to be scattered. He doesn't want you to be a group, right? But we'll group together and say, "Oh, I'm right because I'm Christian. I'm right because I'm Jewish." But no, you right because you're a divine spiritual being that's having an earthly experience, right? And it says that is why it is called Babel, because there the Lord confused the languages of the whole world. From there the Lord scattered them all over the face of the whole earth. This is an old man trying to explain to his grandkids why people, granddaddy, why all these people, why people got different language. Well, let me tell you what happened. See, the Lord came down, cause man got to, and you know.
Yes.
And as an incorrection, so Babel is what they call it in the Bible, and many people say, well, that's where they get the term Babylon,
Babel.
a place where ain't Babylon
And
for language,
babbling.
and
Yeah.
babbling. All right. The city was not. It's not spelled Babel. That does mean language, right? Or confusion of language. The actual word is Bable, right? Right? No. It's still spelled this way. Sorry, messed it up. It's still spelled this way, but in the Sumerian, in the Babylonian, it is Babel, right?
Okay.
And Babel means gateway.
Okay,
Right.
but it's spelled Babel.
Yeah, it's still spelled that same.
Okay.
Babel.
Okay.
They changed, just like in languages, how we have words like the word awful. If I said, "Oh man, that's there's a storm out there. It's awful." What does that mean to you?
Well, see, I know what it really means, or what it used to mean.
Okay,
I know,
act-
like right now.
Okay,
Right
act-
now, it's an awful storm. It's terrible.
Yeah, act now.
Okay. All right. It's terrible. It's a terrible, wild, crazy storm out there, and you need to be careful.
Yeah, I use awful too many times, so people already know the answer to that one.
Okay.
But
Give me another one.
no, I'm gonna stick with that one.
Okay.
But if you go prior to the 1800s, the word awful meant full of awe. Like, it wasn't terrible. It was just so amazing. It's like when you see people post pictures of the landscape, you're like, oh, look at what God did. It's so amazing. They were like, oh, this landscape is so awful. It's awful. It's all filling. I'm so full of awe because I see this. So the word Babel, before the Hebrew people took it over and morphed it, actually meant gateway. And Babylon meant gateway of the gods.
Okay.
It doesn't mean a place of confusion. Because if you look at the history of Babylon, Babylon became the prize city in anthropology. That it was the gateway for merchants. Now that Jose would say it was a merchant, but for the gateway for people to be, and maybe that's where that thought process comes from.
Maybe it is.
But it was a gateway for merging East and West in selling and merchandising, for people to grow and develop. But if you read the annals of Emperor Sargon, the history of Emperor Sargon on the cylinder seals and on the tablets, the Sumerian tablets, you'll see that Sargon, when he came back from battle and war and had won all these prizes for the city of Babylon and developed the city of Babylon, and the city-state of Babylon, and created the first what we call empires. It was the first considered empire. He had a question, and you can find this in one of the books that talks about this is The Richest Man in Babylon. And these are based on the Sumerian text. He asked the question, why does my city, why do people, why I brought all this wealth to Babylon, but why is it that only a few people are holding the wealth? Kind of like in America, right? Okay. And Sargon was like, basically, long story short, his priests, they were like, look, we don't know how to make money, but we know a dude who does. Arcad is the richest man in Babylon. So let's get him to come up here and teach us. And Arcad said, well, the people just simply don't know how to make money. Mm-hmm. So Sargon, he built this city, he irrigated the Euphrates River, created all this ability to have wealth, and only a few people knew how to acquire that wealth. So Sargon built Babylon, the first version of Babylon under the Akkadian Empire, and it was the gateway of the gods because it was so wealthy and it had so many splendors and everything that they continued to grow this city. Okay. So no person who would read this outside of Christianity and the Abrahamic religions would accept that Babel meant that. Babel meant gateway of the gods, and it was a place of opulence, a place for people went there. Like, you know how black people moved to Atlanta because they want to come and make their money? Yeah. That was Babylon. Okay. People was moving to Babylon. Later on, Nineveh became a great city like that, and they moved to Nineveh, which was still a Babylonian city, but they came to Babylon to make their money. Okay. Right. But according to this story, he confused them and put man all over the earth. But in verse 10, the chapter 10, they were supposed to already all over the earth. They was already through Noah's children. Right? So archaeologically and anthropologically, this don't work. All right? This is something that's wrong with this book because they changed the word and the meaning of the word. You know, my cigar keep going out because I'm talking too damn much. I ain't talking too much. Y'all know what I'm saying. Messing up my good stick. So then it just jumps from that. It doesn't tell you what happened to the people, nothing like that, anything. But according to one of the Sumerian stories, Enlil bombed the hell out of Babylon, which scattered the people out of Babylon, which allowed him to defeat Marduk and push him back into Egypt.
Okay, cool. Let me ask you a quick question.
Go ahead, shoot.
Now, when you're talking about the Sumerian story, is the Sumerian story just a story? Is this something that is to be taken literally?
Yes and no. Most of it is to be taken literally because the Sumerians was writing it saying that this is what the gods told us, like when they did stuff and how they built stuff and how they developed man and all of this thing.
Okay.
Later on, when we get to these aspects of it, the Sumerian story is recording what happened to their cities and what the gods were doing during that time frame. Okay. And the thing about the Sumerian story, unlike this story, is that most of the tablets demonstrate that the people was writing it when it happened. So you know how like Jesus, nothing was written about Jesus until 50 plus years after he died. Okay. Yeah. These stories were being written by the current historians in Babylon at that time. These stories were written on tablets that were showing contracts and laws that were active at the time that they were inscribed on stone, on clay
So-
tablets.
So,
This was written about 3 to 4,000 years after it happened, because Moses is writing this. Moses wasn't around for none of this, but Moses was out there with the Babylonian people, the Assyrian people, and he knew, so he knows he's taking from their stories
okay.
in that 1440 BCE time frame.
Okay, so do you believe the Sumerian story? Because I know you don't believe this biblical story.
I give more credibility to the Sumerian story because the Sumerian story makes more archaeological sense. Now, I don't give credence to it all. The Anunnaki weren't gods. They were just freaking aliens who just have lived longer.
Really?
They're aliens.
Okay.
And we're going to argue about that part later on. She thinks somebody else is aliens.
Hey,
What?
we're not gonna go there.
No, we're not going there now. You see, you know how like archaeology shows that the oldest bones come out of sub-Saharan Africa, right? I know you don't like that.
Okay, no.
But the oldest bones come out of sub-Saharan Africa.
How old
In
are
this,
they?
like 2 million.
Okay.
But when it talks about calamities that can be verified through science. Like it talks about 12,000 years ago how the northern hemisphere was flooded and how an ice age came about. And we have the Clovis meteorite that happened about 20,000 years ago. Well, about 20,000 years ago, that hit, extinction level event, covered most of the planet. Following that, with the dust clouds all over the planet, you had an ice age. And through that ice age, that's why most civilizations went away. And the Sumerian story talks about how the gods knew that was going to happen, let it happen. They saved themselves, but then most cultures were wiped away, which is why we have no cultures other than some crawl civilizations in sub-Saharan Africa that are about 200,000 years old. We no other real cultures or civilizations exist that we can see, and the pyramids and the Sphinx. Most of the other ones are like only 8 to 12,000 years old. But the Sphinx shows that it was water weathering, that he had to have been around about 26,000 years old.
Okay.
Years ago. So the Sumerian story just lends more credibility to what we can scientifically validate. Whereas this story, we can't scientifically validate none of this.
Okay.
Well,
you know,
most of
I'm in
this.
total agreement of that. I'm just not sure if there is a story that I believe in literally.
Oh, I ain't nobody's story I'm believing literally. Like there are aspects that I would take literally, but most of it, nah.
Okay.
No, I don't take literally. Like Enki and Niharsag made 16 versions of man. Most of them died out. Few of them survived until he got to what we are today. When Cain gets kicked out of the garden, or in the Sumerian story, Cain gets kicked out of the Garden of Eden, and he goes to find a wife. The Bible doesn't tell you where to get the wife from. But if you look at the Sumerian story, then you have versions of man like the Neanderthals. They exist. So when Cain goes find a wife outside of the enclosure, because it says Eden was an enclosure, not a garden, it was an enclosure where the gods lived.
Oh.
Which is why God was walking through the garden in the cool of the day. So it's an enclosure. They were supposed, the ones of Adamah and Titi, which is Adam and Eve, they were like in charge of all the other people,
Okay.
making sure everything was running smooth. This is all in the Sumerian story, people. Cain married a Neanderthal, would have been his wife. Neanderthals lived mostly throughout, and Neanderthals were taken to Europe by the Anunnaki, which is why even in today's genome, people who are of the lesser melanation, they have more Neanderthal DNA
Yes.
than the people of the darker, the heavier.
So he
melanation.
went and got him a Neanderthal.
He went and got
wife?
him a Neanderthal. And then we have that 200,000-year-old crawl civilization in sub-Saharan Africa, exactly where the Sumerian story says that Enki developed man. And so there's a gold mine. Then we got all the ancient gold mines. all over the world, which demonstrates how the Sumerians said the Anunnaki came down here to mine gold. So it's like, that explains why there's gold mines everywhere, because before we had currency, why would you need gold? You know, it's not good for building nothing. So why was it valuable? And the Garden of Eden just says, and by the Pison River, I think it was by the Pison, I'm not sure which river it was, but by the Pison, there was much gold in the land. If you only got 2 people on the planet, what the hell you need gold for? See what I'm saying? So it just lends more, it matches up more with archaeology. But to be taken literally, no. Okay. Even Galatians 4, I believe, says all this shit is for allegory.
It's allegory.
Right.
I thought it was 20. Was it 4 and 20?
I don't know. It's 4 and it's Galatians.
Okay. Yeah, I know it's in there.
All right. So now it gets a little bit boring. But you know they got to get their lineage up to their Messiah. You know, even the Jewish people, because the Jewish people are still waiting on their Messiah. So we got to get some lineage here. And said, so it just stops right there. Don't tell you nothing else what happened to the people. Said, this is the account of Shem's family line. 2 years after the flood, when Shem was 100 years old, he became the father of Arphaxad. And you know, it talked about, it gave this lineage before. That's why I'm saying the name better today than I did the last time. Because I done said it a bunch of times. All right. And after he became the father of Arphaxad, Shem lived 500 years and had other sons and daughters. Now, it would indicate that Arphaxad was his first child, so this man waited 100 years before he got some sex. Before he had a baby.
Okay, I'm about to say.
That's a long ass time. You young kids, y'all having baby way too early.
You're right, at 100 years.
Yeah, 100 years. When Arphaxad lived 35 years, he became the father of Shelah. His daddy waited 100 years. This joker, 35, I'm a teenager in their time frame. He became the father of Shelah. And after he became the father of Shelah, Arphaxad lived 403 years and had other sons and daughters. Again, though, here, what happened to, and the days of man on earth will only be 120 years? This was said way before all of this. This was said way before all this. So God, lied.
He checked. God don't lie.
Yeah, he did. When Shelah lived 30 years, or Shelah lived 30 years, he became the father of Eber. Now, some people say that these are just naming nations, that they went and found these nations or these tribes. And yeah, you can say it that way. That fits. So that maybe he had some kids, but then found the nation. But these are children, because you got to get this lineage up to David. And after he became the father of Eber, Shelah lived 403 years and had other sons and daughters. When Eber lived 34 years, boy, these children having babies early. He became the father of Peleg. And after he became the father of Peleg, Eber lived 430 years and had other sons and daughters. When Peleg lived 30 years, he became the father of Reu. And after he became the father of Reu, Peleg lived 209 years and he had other sons and daughters. Now, some people will say that, hey, they're living shorter time frame because we get into that 120. The world is so much more polluted. If God is going to say that the days of man will be no more than 120,
where's that?
Where's this slow groove?
No, where is that written?
That's like Genesis 9, somewhere around in there.
Okay.
It's like flood time, after the flood.
Okay.
So probably, Genesis 9 or 10.
Okay.
All right. So he 32 years became the father of Sherug. And after he became the father of Sherug, Reu lived 207 years and had other sons and daughters. When Sherug lived 30 years, he became the father of Nahor. And after he became the father of Nahor, Sherug lived 200 years and had other sons and daughters. When Nahor lived 29 years, he became the father of Terah. I know, right? It was like dead. Why were you there? And after he became the father of Terah, Nahor lived 119 years. Hey, we under 120. The Lord's word finally coming into play. And he had sons and daughters. And after, but it's going to mess up because Abraham lived a bunch of years.
Okay.
After he lived, slow your roll.
There you go.
Nahor lived 119 years and had other sons. After Nahor had lived 70 years, he became the father of Abram. I guess he was waiting for that special one. All right. He became the son of Abram and Nahor and Haran. This is the account of Terah's family line. Got to get to Jesus. Or King David for them. For the Jewish people writing this, they're trying to get to King David.
Okay.
Which
Okay.
they got to bring in Ruth, according to that one. And if y'all saw my other video that I did the other day about Ruth and how she never existed, well, yeah. But none of these people existed, so, you got that aspect of it. All right. This is the account of Terah's family. Terah became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran became the father of Lot. Lot's important. Later on in another video. While his father, Terah, was still alive, Haran died in Ur of the Chaldeans. So this lets you know that that all these people are living in Ur, right? Where at least Terah's family is living in Ur, which is a Sumerian city. This is why scholars and, low-key scholars like myself, oh, y'all done said some stuff I ain't even see it. Since my people would trade with one another, but the more I read, the less I'm saying I'm right. Peace. How you doing, Raw? Off topic, we question why Noah cursed his grandson instead of his son. I was made to understand that seeing his father's nakedness meant that he raped his mother to have all the control. So I'm guessing that the grandson was the product of the son and the mother doing the nasty. See, that was when we read that in chapter 9, I believe, when we did that last week in chapter 9.
Okay.
It said nothing about that.
Yeah, that's where is that coming from?
That is coming from people saying Noah is messed up. Why he punishing the grandson for what the father did?
Yeah.
Right? And even if that was, it doesn't say that at all. That's just some doctrine that people write later, these church fathers.
Yeah.
They write this because people question it, because it doesn't make any sense. But even if that's the case, that would be like, if a man rapes a woman, instead of putting the man in jail, we're going to put the child that's born from the rape in jail.
Right.
You're still punishing the wrong person.
Or have a grandchild.
Right. Exactly. If you're going, if let's say that Ham did and his mama did the nasty, which is gross, but Ham and his mama did the nasty. They have a baby, right? Why? That doesn't make it right to punish the child of that unholy union.
My issue is that that's even something that has ever been said when it's not in the book.
Right.
I get tired of hearing people, pulling at straws, and this is nothing, towards you, brother, but
no, because they say he like controversy.
Okay, well, cool. But it's like, how are you going to just be pulling things out of the sky? That's not what that says. Now, you're not supposed to add nothing, and you're not supposed to subtract anything. At least that's what they say. You're not supposed to add or subtract to God's word.
Nope.
But then
Jesus said, I take not one tittle.
Okay.
Meaning one mark.
Oh, okay.
That all it is what it is, and that's all it is.
Okay. So it said that you're not supposed to do that, but you hear all of these different stories, all of these different doctrines, all of these people saying, okay, no, that's not what that meant. Let me tell you, no. Why is God's word so difficult to understand?
Because you're not supposed to be leaning to your own understanding, ma'am, but lean to the understanding of the church fathers who have been imbued with the Holy Spirit.
No, hold up.
Because let me tell you now, prior to the last 100 years, if you was imbued with the Holy Spirit, that really meant that you were possessed by demons. Because only the priest can be imbued by the Holy Spirit.
Okay, well, wait a minute.
So don't be talking about the priest.
So what now?
Because that's their job. So they can keep control over you.
That sound about right.
And mind you, most of the people couldn't read. So they can't. If the people can't read, then they can't argue against you. But it's when other church leaders start reading it and saying, "Wait a minute, this don't make no damn sense. Why would he curse the grandson?" Then whoever the head church father is going to write something that says that well, this is why. Or he going to have one of his scribes or somebody write out, or one of the other church fathers write it out and say, this is what the conclusion we've come to. It's just like at the Council of Nicaea, you had the people of Irenaeus, and you had the Orthodoxy, and they were arguing about the divinity of Jesus. Well, once they beat the shit out of Arius, and not Irenaeus. Irenaeus is a different dude. He the one who pretty much wrote the canons.
Okay, so
Once
Aries and they
once
exiled him.
Yeah, exile Arius, exactly. Once they beat the shit out of him, he said, "I signed this with a forced hand," because they beat the shit out of him, and then that just became doctrine. The Trinity then became doctrine. Jesus' divinity then became doctrine. See, Jesus wasn't divine as the Son of God, and one with God until the Council of Nicaea. That was the whole. Other than organizing Christianity under the orthodoxy, so that Constantine can control it. The other thing was Jesus' divinity. That was the whole big reason for that council. So you got people who, when they question these things, the church fathers have to go and make up a rationale as to why he would curse the child. But that still don't make sense because,
So they have to have a meeting. They have to have a whole meeting to figure out what we gonna tell these people, because that's what that is. When people, I remember when I was younger, my daddy told me about the Council of Nicaea.
Them ecumenical councils.
Yes. And I didn't understand it because I was too young to grasp what it was that he was explaining to me. But pretty much it's like a whole bunch of people in a room. Almost when I think of it, I see the Senate floor.
Yeah, it's pretty much like that.
Okay, yeah. And there's a whole bunch of people and they decide what God has said. They decide what you're going to what you're going to learn and what you must know, and how this religion is going to go. These people decide that. But these people, they're just people.
Making up stuff so they can keep control of you.
Pretty much.
Not taking away nor adding. You read to your understanding. So, well, I should have said, could it have meant? I mean, that's cool. No, bro, you doing good.
Yeah. I mean, it could mean anything.
You started again. You missed. Look. Put that bell notification on. I don't know. You might have got the bell. You might have been working or something. You know. But you can always go back when it's over. Catch up.
So let's get it back.
All right, let's get back. So we got the Count of Terra's family line. We got him. Oh, so they, while his father Terah was still alive, Haran died in Ur. So they were, so this basically letting you know that the Hebrew people came out of the Sumerian people. All right, how you doing, Judah? The Hebrew people, if they came out of Ur, they were Sumerians.
Okay.
So people often ask, like, when did or where did Hebrews come from? They are a sect of people who migrated from the Sumerian people because they developed different belief systems, or they moved for economic reasons, or they moved because of, we're going to see later on how people move around because of famine. So but we know now, based on the Bible, Abram, his family came out of Ur. All these other people of Shem's family came out of Ur. They were Sumerians of the Chaldeans. Now it says of the Chaldeans because by the time of this writing, they're not Sumerians anymore. They're called Chaldeans. But the Chaldeans come from the Sumerians in the land of his birth. So we're telling that's where he was born. Further evidence.
Okay.
Now Abram and Nohar both married. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, who later becomes Sarah. And the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah. We ain't gonna really talk about them that much more because they're irrelevant. Because the Bible finds them irrelevant. Yeah. She was the daughter of Haran. And did you catch that? The father of both Milcah and Ishka. I'm probably saying that wrong.
Whoa, hold up, wait.
Now let me get that last part. Now Sarai was childless because she had not conceived. What did you see?
Wait a minute.
See, when they say read this book, and you read it with your third eye open, you're going to see something
Abram and Nahor both married.
Albert says I always learn something new. Hey,
Abram's wife was Sarai. And Nahor's wife was Milcah. And she was the daughter of Haran.
Right, and who was Haran?
Haran is Abram's granddaddy.
Abram. Terah became the father.
Abram's brother.
Terah became the father of
Abram, Nahor, and Haran.
And Milcah is the daughter of Haran,
Milcah is the daughter of Haran.
who married Nahor, who is Haran's brother, which means that Nahor married his. Come
His
on,
niece.
I don't want to say it, but I know it's in there.
Did you say his niece? Yeah,
His niece.
His niece.
His niece. Nahor married his niece. Smoke on that.
Nahor had married his brother's daughter.
Nahor married his dead brother's daughter. Now, some people are going to say culturally, he married her in order to keep the family intact because she didn't have a father, so nobody to pay her dowry and all that. So
he had to have.
So
he had to marry her and have sex with her to
because
do that.
how do you get married in the Bible?
You have sex.
Right. So they would say that. Now, according to this story, there was already a bunch of other people, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like she couldn't have just been, you know how like, especially in
Couldn't
black
have got
families.
nobody else.
In black families, if your brother died, you take on their children.
Yeah.
But then you don't marry them.
No.
You find somebody else to marry them. But no, yeah. I was
Okay.
wondering. I thought one of y'all might catch that, but baby caught that one. She caught that before y'all because y'all ain't typing fast enough.
Oh.
But right. Nahor marries his niece.
Okay.
Right? And then it says, now Sarah was childless because she was not able to conceive. So, how we know that Abraham just didn't have a low sperm count?
Well, maybe that was it. Because
most problems with having babies is the fact that men may have a low sperm count.
True indeed.
Yeah, I was told that the reason why it took a few years of trying is because I had a borderline low sperm count.
What?
Three children later.
That's all right.
But I started doing some things. Got it all right. Got 3 kids. They drive me crazy sometimes. We got 3 kids. Grown kids though. So yeah, Sarah couldn't conceive. So Terah took his son Abram, his grandson Lot, son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, the wife of his son Abram, and together they set out from Ur of the Chaldeans to go to Canaan. But when they came to Haran, they settled there. Terah lived 205 years, and he died in Haran. Now, some people might say that the reason why they don't mention Nahor and his wife Milcah right here is because they were disgusted that he married his niece. But basically, it's just saying that Nahor and Milcah didn't go. Because he just said he took his son Abraham, his grandson Lot, who was his son. He just took his kids and left. It doesn't say anything about them being disgusted with them. Because from what I've read, everything jacked up was a woman's fault, never a man's. That is throughout the Bible.
Yeah.
Everything that's messed up is the woman's fault. That's why I did the video and I was saying that women should really be abhorred at this book and not read it. Like, I don't understand how a woman is Christian at all,
Don't even
or
get
Jewish or
me
Muslim.
started on that. Not today. We got no. We got to go ahead and get through
All right.
Genesis because I don't understand.
Now we're at Genesis 12. We're going to get to some y'all got to stay through this because some jacked up stuff.
Yeah, it's about to get real good. About to get real good
There's some
now.
dumb shit happen. Now the Lord said to Abram, go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you. Now remember, they're living in Haran now. They're not living in Canaan, they're in Haran. Now in the Sumerian story, this is Enlil coming to Abram saying that, you know what, you kept the old ways, you still a good little slave and everything. I'm going to make you my people. Right? So this is Enlil coming to him. I will make you into a great, and then before I go there, he had what's the qualification for Abram that the Lord came to Abram? He don't specify. Like, you know what, at least he said, Noah, I find you to be the most righteous of all this wretchedness. He just, hey, Abram, you look pretty good to me. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse. And all the people on earth will be blessed through you. Now, I want y'all to remember this part for when we get towards the end and the next video in 13. We ain't doing 13 tonight, but I want you to remember this, because I will refer to this when we do 13. I'm going to refer back up to this a little bit later on. But he said they're going to make a great nation out of him. He's going to bless Abram. He gonna make a great name for him, and he will be blessed. He will bless those that bless him. Remember that. He will bless those that bless him. Because not everybody who bless him gets blessed. And I will curse those, and whoever curses you, I will curse them. Right? And all the people on earth will be a blessing through you.
Blessed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. Now we see that all the people on earth have not been blessed through Abraham. Because there's a whole bunch of Hindu people who are blessed, living a beautiful life. Ain't got nothing to do with Abraham. Bunch of Buddhist people blessed. Bunch of atheist people blessed. Whole bunch of conscious people blessed. I know y'all got blessings upon you.
Wait, you gotta watch how you say, because blessed be less. You gotta be.
Oh Lord, bless me and be less. That's just that's foolishness.
You gotta watch what you say now.
I ain't
Go on
gonna,
now.
anyway. So Abram went as the Lord told him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he set out from Haran. Remember that he's also 75 years old, because in later videos, we're going to see that this old dude can fight, right? I know when I'm 75, I ain't trying to fight nobody. He took his wife Sarah, his nephew Lot, and all the possessions they had accumulated, and the people they had acquired in Haran. And they set out for the land of Canaan, and they arrived there. You know how people say that the Bible doesn't condone slavery? Right? What that say right there? And
all the possessions they had accumulated and the people they had acquired in Haran.
Not employees. Now, and somebody might say, well, that could be employees. No. If you acquire something.
No, you acquire. How do you acquire a person?
You take ownership when you acquire something. Slavery. Oh, but after 7 years, they're supposed to let them go. That wasn't written yet. The 7 years of Jubilee were not written yet.
No.
So, chattel slavery. Continuing, Abraham traveled through the land as far as the site of the great tree of Morah, at Shechem, and at that time the Canaanites were in the land. The Lord appeared to Abram and said, "To your offspring I will give this land." So he built an altar there to the Lord who had appeared to him. This is why they over there now talking about this is our land, because it was promised to Abraham. The whole thing about them doing these Zionists, what's it called? Khazars? No.
Ashkenazis.
Yeah, them. I was just way off with them. There's another name that's similar to what I said though.
Yeah, it is.
But this is their claim to that land. This is how they claim that land. Nothing that's universally recognized throughout the world, but just because this book says so, right?
And even according to this book, the people there are not the people. There's no connection.
Right. They're not the Canaanites, because these Palestinian people are Muslim people, Arabs. They are supposedly come from the line of Ishmael, one of Abraham's children. So these are not the Canaanite people that they taken this land from. Now, some of the Palestinians will claim Canaanite, right? But still, this book doesn't give them the right. Yeah, very few. But this book doesn't give them the right to say, that's our land, get the hell off of it, because God said we need it, and it's too many of us taking up the land we already got. Right. And he built an altar to which no one has ever found this altar. From there he went towards the hills east of Bethel, and pitched his tent with Bethel on the west, and Ai, I guess, we're going to call it Ai, on the east. There he built an altar to the Lord and called on the name of the Lord. Then Abraham set out to continue toward Negev. Now, you know how like when Manifest Destiny happened? All you had to do was go out and put stakes in the ground and claim Native American land. This is where they get that from. Just go build a damn altar.
Aboriginal land.
Aboriginal land.
Yes, indigenous land. I agree.
My baby people are indigenous to America.
Show off.
Her Gullah Geechees
Show off.
are indigenous to the land.
Yeah,
you should hear some of our conversations. Right? And then it just stopped.
Yeah.
So Abram is going through this. So here's the thing. if God came to me and said, "Hey, I want you to go to the land of Atlanta, and I'm gonna give all this to you," and I go and I put me an altar in Marietta, I go put an altar in Lithonia, I go put an altar, down in Riverdale. For y'all don't know, I'm just going northeast, southwest, and I'm put an altar out in Mableton, Austell. Then that God said, "This is all my land, right? That's all my land. Why would I leave?"
Good
But
question.
Abram's gonna leave. Now there was a famine in the land, and Abram went to Egypt.
That's why he left.
Because there was a famine.
There we
So
go.
now some people will say right here that there was a famine in the land, so God can weaken or weaken the Canaanites. But we're gonna see that it is literally hundreds, maybe 1,000 plus years before. No, it is like 1,000 years before the Israelite people supposedly took Canaan. So, and then he had to do some other stuff to take Canaan at that time. But for some reason, Abram can't have it. We got to have a famine. And it's some dirty shit that's about to happen down here with the famine with Egypt.
How long? No, they never.
They never mention how long the women live. I always
It's
got to
not
read it because
even-
Facebook people can't see what
Yeah.
he wrote. Bless the ones that bless you. Sounds like the same thing they say about Israel. Yep. Now, and think about it. All these countries that's been blessing Israel ain't been blessed themselves.
Right.
Because America sure ain't been blessed. I'll tell you that right now. They have not been blessed at all. Right. But they never talk about how long the women live because the women aren't important.
No.
Y'all are not important.
No.
Your life doesn't matter. Unless you about to have a baby or you do some crooked shit.
Unless you're about to have a baby that's in the line.
That's in the line of something.
In a specific line. I had a girlfriend, and we were talking, and what she said was, "Look, we just have to deal with it. Women was an afterthought. Okay, that's just what it is. God thought about us after.
Yeah.
All of the animals, every single one of
You
them.
should have been here when I did Genesis 1.
Oh
1
my
and 2.
gosh.
Because y'all weren't. He brought the beast of the field to Adam before he made a woman.
Now,
You got a little bestiality before y'all.
But God, you don't know better, God. But God, you don't know better.
But he's supposed to know everything. Omnipresent.
No.
Omnipotent.
No. It
just
took
know it
all other animals to him first, but this is an all-knowing God.
And said I couldn't find a helpmeet for him,
Oh my goodness.
so he had to make y'all. So he didn't know that the animals wasn't gonna.
He
get a
didn't.
helpmeet.
He didn't know.
No,
he
know.
had no clue.
He wasn't thinking. Sounds like a regular person.
It's the God you serve, amen.
That's right.
And amen.
Ashe. 11.
Okay.
And as he was about to enter Egypt, he said to his wife Sarai, which shows you, this is about to see, you can see the punkism of Abram. "I know what a beautiful woman you are. Gorgeous, baby. When the Egyptians see you, whoo, they will say, this is his wife. And they will kill me. But will let you live." I'm sorry, that line just throws me for a loop.
This is say they're gonna kill him.
Cause he said, "Your wife's so fine, we're gonna kill you and take your wife, bro."
Let's talk about insecurity.
And then he said, "Say you are my sister, so that I will be treated well for your sake, and my life will be spared because of you." You see, y'all don't have a use unless it's the benefit of the man, right? For his sake. This is the first time biblically that we get a trophy wife. I can't. Prostituting your wife. Baby, go on out there and shake that money maker. Go on, make that money, bring it back home so I can benefit from your
Abram's
booty
another
shaking.
first, so don't worry. There's another first in him.
I know they don't tell y'all that. Y'all ain't think about that, right? They just read this and keep going. But we gonna stop right there. So that he will be spared. Bruh is a punk. Abraham is straight punk.
He's Abram now. He's Abraham.
Yeah, sorry. He's straight punk. When Abram came to Egypt, the Egyptians saw that Sarai was a very beautiful woman. This is why they always paint her white to make you black men think y'all want a white woman. And when I said it, I don't care. And when Pharaoh's officials saw her, they praised her to Pharaoh, and she was taken into his palace. Now, If I roll down into Atlanta with a good-looking woman like yourself, you think the mayor of Atlanta gonna just they, oh, look at that one? There must have been some ugly-ass women in Egypt.
Hold up, wait a minute.
That this woman rolled up, and all of a sudden she's so beautiful that the Pharaoh's officials see how beautiful she is. Right? He said Abraham couldn't ask God to stop the famine and to protect his wife. Exactly.
Ooh.
But no, see, there's a whole plot to it. There's a plot twist. What were you about to say?
Nothing. I will leave that alone.
Right? And so the Pharaoh, and she was taken into his palace. He treated Abram well for his sake.
For her sake.
For her sake, sorry. And Abram acquired sheep and cattle, male and female donkeys, male and female servants / slaves, and camels. Sarah, go shake your money maker.
Hey,
Shake your money maker.
hey.
Take what your mama gave you.
Get it, girl.
How effed up is that?
Use what you got.
He
to
used
get
his
what
wife.
you want.
Now, this man already had stuff. Because remember when he left Ur, he had slaves. He had all his possessions he had accumulated. But now, and people say that this was God's plan for him to go get some money, which this is money for them, from the Egyptians. And he got it by saying that his wife is his sister and told her to go shake her moneymaker
Yes.
to the Pharaoh so he can get some more money.
Sound like a pimp.
Straight pimping. Probably had some glass shoes with a little fish in it. You might be too young for this. You're too young for that one. You too
That's
young
what
for that one.
Abraham. That's what Abraham.
You don't even know
They
where that
gonna
come
pimp
from,
that.
do you?
Yes, I do. What is it? Dynamite?
No.
No. What's the? Is that the one with the fish in the
Yeah, you only 5 years younger than me. 5.5 years younger than me.
six? But
5.5. Be trying to add no years.
six. Which one was that?
I'm gonna get you, sucker.
Oh.
See?
Oh.
See? Jose know. You came out and got out of jail, had them little pimp
That's
shoes on
right.
with them fish in them.
Yes.
That's what-
his yellow and zebra.
So when y'all ain't gonna be able to think about Abraham without thinking about that dude
Yeah.
with the fish. Because that's what he did. But now here's the Lord. But the Lord inflicted serious disease on Pharaoh and his household because of Abram's wife Sarai. You so understand that in the Egyptian culture at this time, it was considered illegal and a bad omen to sleep with another man's wife. See, they had that kind of morality. See, whereas Abram didn't have the morality to just stand up and be a man and say that this is my wife because he was a punk and he was scared. They had the morality to say that, no, you don't sleep with another man's wife. Even the Pharaoh doesn't sleep with another man's wife. But we know that in a lot of these other cultures that don't look like us, they had traditions where the king sleeps with the bride, before the husband does. Right? It was a king's right to sleep with all the women of the land.
Oh wow.
So,
I never heard that.
Yeah, especially them up there in Britain, Scotland, all them people.
So anytime somebody was getting married,
If the king wanted to bunk that thing, he could. If he want that poom poom, that punani, the king had the right to come screw your wife before you do. You get that virgin punani first. So, yeah. But even the Pharaoh knew, we won't do that, right? Now, this part gets a little stupid, and this happens a lot in this book that don't make sense, all right? And it's going to happen a lot in Exodus. It happens a lot in Numbers. Another point that this was written by man. How do you talk to an all-powerful God? God, all-powerful God, and still fear man. How do you talk to an all-powerful God and still fear man? You don't,
you should.
because you ain't
You talking to God.
right. You talking God? I ain't scared no dude. If I know that I got God on my side, I'm rolling up to Egypt like a player, like arrogant as hell. Like, I know I got God on my side.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna be scared of nobody.
Matter of fact, God should already told you I've been on my way.
Right.
So
He had on
I know you
Sure.
got my shit already.
He
my
said he
stuff
had on
already ready.
He had on platform sandals with fishbowl
Fishbowl
heels.
Yes.
And right, no specific name of the Pharaoh. Exactly. Because if you give a specific name of the Pharaoh, then you're dating yourself. That's like when I was talking to some young folks today, and I was like, "Yeah, man, De La Soul got their masters and everything, man." I was, just me, myself, and I, and I was like, they was like, "What?" I was like, oh my bad, I'm dating myself. You know.
Yeah.
Or when my kids asked me when they was in high school, so Dad, we're studying in history, the Gulf War. I was like, what the hell?
History. The Gulf War is.
The Gulf War is history now. I'm like, y'all jokers. I was
Well,
like,
yeah. Every time they go attack somebody,
I was like, you better go look it up.
history.
Making me feel like I'm
There's a
old.
war.
So yeah. So now here's where it get a little stupid. But the Lord inflicted serious disease on Pharaoh and his household because of Abram's wife Sarai. So instead of the Lord protecting Abraham in the first place, or Abraham having the confidence, in order for this God, Enlil, to get attention, he puts a plague on somebody else. Like Noah put the curse on Ham's child, grandson, instead of on Canaan, instead of putting it on the other dude. Now, mind you, I forgot something. If in the Noah story, you walk with me. You
Okay,
walking with me?
I'm with you.
Y'all walking with me?
Let's
Walk with
go.
me. Walk with me.
All right, let's go.
If in the story of Noah, Noah puts a curse on Canaan, right? Canaan becomes the father of the Canaanite people, of Put, and I forgot the other place, but he ain't. In Egypt, and he becomes the father of Egypt, right? But he says that Canaan, in his sense, will be the slaves of the other brothers, right? So how can they have, if they were the slaves, why does Egypt have a kingdom? How did Canaan have a land if they were supposedly the slaves of the other brothers? And one of those brothers was Shem, which is where Abraham comes from. So should not the Canaanites already have been the slaves of Shem and Japheth's kids?
You would think so. Yeah.
Shouldn't the Egyptians and the people of Put should have already been the slaves of Abraham, Abram and all them? But clearly here, the Canaanites nor the Egyptians were slaves of these people, but had kingdoms, had pharaohs. The pharaoh is a slave according to this book, but yet the pharaoh is about to, go shucky ducky with Sarai.
Okay.
Just throw that in there.
All right.
What's wrong with the Bible? What's wrong with the Bible? We almost done, y'all. So Pharaoh summoned Abram. And mind you, Abram had to already be an important rich dude in order to get all this audience with the Pharaoh.
For real, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So Pharaoh summons Abram. What have you done to me? He said. Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? How the hell he find out that was his wife? We have no idea how Pharaoh supposedly found out that was his wife. I mean, the Pharaoh said, damn, Abram came, I got his sister, there's a plague that's going on. Sarah must be his wife. And that's why we being plagued.
Okay.
Right? But even still, the Egyptians should have been like, okay, there's a plague. Call in my own priest and let's see if we can get, Noon Noon's a god of fertility. Which nobody answered my thing about Noon today. That's kind of pissed me off a little bit. But why didn't he call on, Heru or, Asar or Set or somebody to get rid of the plague? No, he just deduced that was his wife. Just out of thin air. Pharaoh deduced that was his wife.
Yeah, how did he find
Yeah, that's a lot of information here missing. All right. And he said, why didn't you tell me his wife? He said, why did you say she is my sister? So that I took her to be my wife. All right. Now then, here is your wife. Take this chick back. Because that's against our rules here in Egypt, Joker. Take her and go! It's exclamation point. Then Pharaoh gave orders about Abram to his men, and they sent him on his way with his wife and everything he had. So all the up there in 16, all the stuff that he gave them, the cattle, the sheep, the donkeys,
the male and the female servants and the camels.
And the camels. Abram got rich off pimping his wife, and Pharaoh said, y'all call the plague, take your wife back, and take everything and go. So he got richer by pimping his wife.
Yes.
With the Pharaoh. Now, no. Here's the thing. Contradiction time. when we go back up, it says that I will bless those who bless you. Right?
Mm-hmm.
The Egyptians blessed Abram by giving him sheep, cattle, male and female donkeys, male and female slaves, and camels. But what happened to the Egyptians? But the Lord inflicted serious disease on them. What happened to the bless those who bless you? He said, I will curse those who curse you. The Egyptians never cursed Abram. Abram actually put an Egyptian kind of curse on them by lying about his wife.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole part up there don't match with this part down here, because the Egyptians blessed this dude. They're like, man, your sister's so damn fine that I'm gonna take her as my wife, and as a dowry, I'm gonna give you donkeys and sheep and cattle. I'm gonna give you some slaves, and I'm gonna give you some camels, because she's so fine. So I'm gonna pay you a dowry.
And they were blessed with a plague.
And they were and yes, and then they were blessed with a plague.
Blessed with a plague.
Blessed with a plague.
Okay.
Right. And then Abram rolled out on them jokers with some more money.
Yes.
Right. So he basically scammed the Egyptians, right? And just to give you a little insight, because we're not going to go through 13. That's next time. Next video might be tomorrow. But verse 2 says that Abram had become very wealthy in livestock and in silver and gold. How did he become wealthy? By pimping his wife.
Yes, he did.
Everything goes.
Yeah.
Everything goes when it comes to hoes, because pimping ain't easy. Pimping ain't easy. Pimping ain't easy. It was easy, actually easy for Abram. Hey, look, they might kill me. You so fine, they might kill me, so I'm gonna pimp you. Then he couldn't have known God was gonna curse them people, because God had just said if they bless you, won't bless them back.
What?
So his mindset would have been, oh, they blessing me with stuff, even though I'm about to lose my wife, because he probably think I give me another wife. Really, I mean, that's probably what he's thinking.
Well, no, not when the whole Pharaoh is stopping to see Sarah. You know, she must be the most beautiful thing on the whole face of the earth, like you said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so
exactly.
I
mean, because Abram, there was nothing to indicate that Abram would have known that was going to happen. He was just telling it, they saved my sister out of fear. He didn't know he was going to get blessed. This wasn't, Ocean's 11. He didn't have a plan here. Mm-hmm. He was just scared. Mm-hmm. And honestly, because of the value of women is so low to these people, his mindset was probably, because I know how dudes think, when something, men, we compartmentalize very quickly. So, and ladies, don't get mad at me, okay? Baby, don't get mad at me. Ladies, don't get mad at me. And yes, Pharaoh was more righteous than Abram.
Why you gotta start it like that?
Abram was more righteous than Abram, and she didn't have any children. No, she didn't have any children with Pharaoh, because remember, she can't have no children. She's barren. So she didn't have any children with Abram. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't really say if Pharaoh slept with her or not. But no.
Yeah, he did.
Said he took her as his wife.
wife.
So that means he got down and did the deed.
Mm-hmm.
But no, they didn't have any children according to this book, because Sarah still ain't had a baby yet.
Yeah.
Right. When I say don't get mad, because men compartmentalize very quickly.
I know.
Ladies, don't get mad. But when you break up with a man, or y'all break up for whatever reason, yes, the man may be emotionally distraught, but he's gonna put his emotions over here, and then he already start thinking about every next stage of his life over him, and starts moving in that direction real quick. That's why you'll see a man and a woman break up. The woman may take 3-6 months, a year before she dates somebody else. Dude dating somebody in 3 days, because even though he may be carrying all those emotions, they over there. And he's logically said to himself, I said that was my sister. They gave me some money, right? I'm only 75 years old. I'm gonna give me another wife. And that dude gonna pay me a dowry as well. But I'm gonna go get me another wife. So even though he may have been distraught about losing Sarah, Abraham in his mind, and I'm extrapolating here because of how men think, Abraham already in his mind is like, shit, I'm getting stuff because of her. She's married to Pharaoh now. I'm not getting her back.
That's deep. That's
I'm
crazy.
about to get me another wife anyway, and I'm gonna move on. I'm moving on.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
He just kind of sacrificed her.
Right, pretty much. Men do that in business. I've seen women who own businesses, and when the business goes down, the woman like frets about the business. Seem like forever and a day to me. Business go down for me, I already am moving on with my next plan. I ain't even considering the ill effects of that. I mean, I consider ill effects of how, but I only consider those ill effects of how they may affect me in my new movement. Right?
That's crazy.
But I
But I mean,
guarantee this is not in the Bible. This is not written. Nobody else has written this that I know.
Is Renzology.
This is me exactly.
Renzology.
Abraham had already had in his mind, Sarai, she belongs to Pharaoh now. He done slept with her. He done married this chick.
Like I say, he took her as his wife.
And I got my gold, my humans.
My female and male donkeys. My camel.
My plan is, since there's a famine back in Canaan, I ain't
All right.
going. I'm about to stay here in Egypt, but I got money. These Egyptian women are fine because they chocolate. I'm sure Pharaoh got a concubine or something that he ain't gonna want, or an official got some daughter. And
Well, now, but see, you do know that one of the servants was his daughter, and that is Hagar, and that is who Ishmael came through.
well, yeah,
So, but that's next.
that later
Yeah.
on. Yeah. See, now
That's
give
right.
y'all a little background on that. My baby grew up Islamic. So that Islamic part that I don't really know as well, she can break it down. But yes, Hagar, who was one of the servants given to Abram at this
At that
time
time.
frame, was a daughter of Pharaoh. And
And
of course,
that was Hagar.
which is why she was the specific handmaid, because she was a higher up slave. She was a house slave. To Sarah, she was Sarah's handmaid. And that's what gave that one. They had the sex.
And then they had
And
Ishmael.
they had Ishmael.
And then Sarah
Got-
Sarah actually
Oh, hold on, no.
allowed that. Sarah gave.
I know, but we getting into the stuff that's gonna be coming later.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I'm
don't
gonna
be
leave that
giving
alone.
away the good juice.
I'm gonna leave that alone. See,
Get into the good juice. Good
That's
juice.
what you get me.
Yeah.
You get me this Bible, and I can talk some of the Quran, but the Sumerian text and things like
Yeah.
that, I'm not up on enough to speak on that.
Yeah.
But
So
this here,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I can talk about this.
so
we can-
that's all we talking about tonight, as far as this nonsense is concerned. But that whole blessings and curses up there, it doesn't fit with this part of the story. And I'm really wondering how intellectually solvent was Moses if he wrote this. But I don't believe Moses wrote it anyway. But whoever wrote this, I don't think they go back and think about how does, like, if you go get a book done now, an editor will say, you know what you wrote up here about 10 paragraphs ago don't match
Doesn't
with what
match.
you wrote right here. So we got to change one of them
So we can get it
so
on
that it
board.
it matches. You
Yeah.
know, you can't write a novel, a fictitious novel like this, and without an editor and get that right. So in this, whoever edited this did a horrible job. Like, the biblical editors of that day, they dead now, but they need to be fired.
Well, but this is the thing. I doubt very seriously that they really expected you to really believe this
Right.
and take it, take it on as I have to live my life like this.
Right.
I think they were just writing a book.
And they did. And here's
or many books,
here's their thought on
and
that.
people put them together.
The way we live today in America, most people will think that America and the rest of the world will continue to live and exist in the same format, that societies will still be the same way that they are. All right, we won't get to those. Same way that they are. Most of the time, we don't think about how things may change 200 years from now or 1,000 years from now, and how what we write or do today won't make any damn sense. So in these people's mind, this feudal type of system where there's a king and pharaoh, and only the priest can read, in their mind, this is how it's going to be forever. So when they write these things, they think the people will never read this. The people will never be able to pick
Yeah,
these
because
books
they couldn't
up.
read a thing.
Right. So that's how they're thinking it. So when they don't care to make these things correct,
Yeah.
they don't give a shit, because they think y'all ain't gonna ever be able to read this anyway. Tricks on them is that we do. We do have that ability to read this. And I hear you, Terrell.
What he said.
I hear you, Terrell. But Abraham didn't run a scam. Abraham was just scared shitless that the Egyptians would kill him. He had no idea that a plague was going to come. He had no idea he would have known he was gonna get some money because they had to pay dowries back then, but he didn't know a plague was gonna come. He didn't know that the Pharaoh will wake up and be like, damn, there's a plague. Oh, you must be Abram's wife.
Yeah.
And that's why there's a plague. So he was just trying to stay alive. He was just surviving. This surely makes one raise an eyebrow. Yeah. Did Abraham do all this lying before the thou shalt not lie commandment? Yeah, because we don't get the commandments until later on in the Moses story in Exodus, right? Which is why, remember, like the other week I was saying that he told Noah, take 7 pairs of unclean animals. But Leviticus was written, well, Leviticus comes after. So how would he have known what an unclean and clean is? It's because all these stories have just been written all over
and the
Judah.
books aren't written, they're not on,
Right.
what do you call it, in order. The way that they are in the Bible is not the way that they were written.
And mind you, when these books was written in 1445 BCE to 1405 BCE, you have a combination of things being written by the southern king of Judah and the northern king of Israel. The northern and southern kingdoms didn't like each other. So you got writers, this is why there's the theory of the Elohist text and the Judas text, because these people didn't like each other, so they were writing their own books. But once everything was brought together around between 500 and 300 BCE, the redactors tried to make it all fit. But when you got two different writers, that's like two different people writing a mystery novel on the same characters about similar situations, but they're writing based on how they want it to be, and they don't like the other one. And if you don't like the other person, you're gonna villainize them a little bit, and vice versa. And then when the editor tried to put all this together, they like, it don't mesh perfectly, but I gotta mesh it as perfectly as I possibly can. So that's what you're getting.
Well, they weren't that,
when you read it.
They weren't that intelligent.
No, they weren't. It's like a bunch of Tyler Perry movies put together in a book. Very much so. Hey, Asher Black, I ain't seen you in a while. But yeah, it is. It's like a whole bunch of foolishness that somebody just put together, taking parts and pieces from different people, and then mashing it together and trying to and forcing it to fit. Right? They're forcing it to fit. When there should be a Tanakh for the southern tribe of Judah, the southern kingdom of Judah, and a Tanakh for the northern tribe of Israel, and oh, you listen? Okay, cool. So that's how it should. It should be two separate books with their own writings, but because they were trying to unify these people under Judaism, they had to crunch it together. They had to. They had no choice.
You know, something that is a running theme in the Bible is how the Lord loves to bless really messed up people.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say a different word. But the Lord really loves to bless terrible people. People who do terrible things.
Oh, this is why I'm gonna start doing these videos, like 3-4 videos a week, because we gotta get into Exodus, because that sentiment with Jacob
oh my gosh.
is like, seriously? This Joker just ransacking everything, but getting blessings on blessings.
But it's all of them though.
Yeah.
It's him. It's Abraham.
It's
It's
Isaac,
David. It's everybody in the line, and people don't see how
Yep. And let me
the
make
regular people are more righteous.
and let me
than
make
this
some
God.
let me make some of my super black conscious people mad.
Oh.
The people who do right, like Esau.
Esau was a good man.
Who the super black people say was white, even though I just think he was, one of them light-skinned brothers with red hair and freckles. Because I've been with a lot of them light-skinned brothers with red hair and freckles. Esau, who they say was white, was a righteous dude. Even when his brother stole his birth, and Esau worked hard to build up his wealth, when he saw his brother, he loved on his brother and said, man, come on home, I got you.
That's right.
And what did his brother do? Said, oh yeah, go ahead on, man. I'll catch up with you. And then he said, man, I'm going over here to hell with my brother.
Yeah.
And then Jacob still get all the blessings.
And he was the one that was blessed.
Yeah. And Jacob get blessed again.
And you know what?
Esau was a righteous man. That is much later on.
That's later. Okay, I know it's much later, because
I think No, yes, it's later. It's in Genesis.
Okay. Yeah, I know it's in
Jacob and
Genesis.
Esau's in Genesis. But that later on. We're gonna get that later.
Okay.
Just a little taste, little tidbit.
Yeah, now it's gonna be in Egypt.
The Bible came from the Greco-Roman era. Codex Sinaiticus, then later in Latin, the Vulgates are oldest biblical scriptures found, which was written in Greek. Yeah. I mean, you got some Aramaic scripts and that sort of thing. But all this stuff is none of it is written when it happened.
Yeah.
Like like the history of Trump and Obama and all of them, the people are writing the books are alive who actually was present during the time frame. We don't have that in these people, or at least none of that survived. But you gotta understand, a lot of stuff there were probably things written at that time if this shit was real, but it wasn't. But if it was real, people would have been writing it at that time. I always have an issue with nobody ever writing during the time of the person, because there's absolutely no way Jesus does all those miracles and not one of the 120 historians and writers who were living in Judea at the time frame that Jesus supposedly existed, none of them wrote it down. That the first person who writes it down is 50 plus years after
his death.
Right. And even with Josephus ben Matthias, who was born a year after Jesus supposedly died, but didn't write nothing for 20 plus years, still wrote about 4 different Jesuses, right? Yeshua's.
Yes, because
and they all, if you look at each one of the stories about those Yahshuas that Josephus ben Matthias wrote about, this person has one part of kicking over the tables. This person has a part of arguing with the Pharisees and Sadducees. And this person has a part about being condemned to be crucified, but then the governor, whose name started with a Q, he was like, nah, I ain't nothing wrong with this dude, and let him go, But then it's meshed together by the later writers after Josephus to make the Jesus story. But Vespasian also required, according to the Roman annals, Vespasian, just like he did with the Druids, he took all the Druid writings and he destroyed all of them and kept one copy. It is said that through the writings of Vespasian that he took all the Jewish writings. So if there were Jewish versions of this, Aramaic, Hebrew versions of this, he took all, or even Sumerian, he took all of those writings and destroyed all but one copy, which is theorized. It was theorized in 2 places. One was the Library of Alexandria. The other is in the Vatican. Now, personally, I think it was in the Library of Alexandria because it was part of Vespasian's state. And when, part of Vespasian's state, and when you get to the later generations of the Vespasian dynasty, some of them did do a lot of stuff in Alexandria, Egypt. So it was either there, but I believe all the writings from the Library of Alexandria, I don't think none of that shit was burned. I think all of it is in the Vatican. Because there is 17 miles of museum stuff under the Vatican. So I'm sure that there are some writings.
17 miles.
Yeah, I would literally, if I was the president, start a war with Italy just so I can take the Vatican, and then I would release everything that's in the Vatican library to the world.
Allegedly.
No, I would. Allegedly. I would literally start a war with Italy, take the Vatican. And think about it. This is...
You're not taking the Vatican.
Hitler, even when he turned on Italy, the one thing he did not do was turn on the Vatican, but would go visit the Pope, would go spend time in... Because Hitler, as foolish and crazy and as he was, he was a very deeply religious man. Even though he grew up Jewish, right? Y'all didn't know that. Did y'all know Hitler grew up Jewish? Yeah, Hitler grew up Jewish. But he was very... He had a whole section of the Nazi army that was dedicated to... This is where the Indiana Jones movies come from. Because Hitler was very dedicated to getting Christian relics and Jewish relics and wanted that information. This is why Hitler kept going to visit the Vatican. Because he wanted to get that deep information, like what y'all got. Because I know y'all got something. I'm sure he found some stuff. They just didn't tell nobody. Because if you release the religion to the people and release the knowledge to the people, then the people will overthrow you. That's what in the previous chapter, the story of the Tower of Babel, hey, we can't have the people growing in their intellect and being able to communicate with each other, because if they do, then we won't be able to control them. Even on our internet today, me and Babe was talking about something. I forgot what we was talking about, but 5 years ago, if I went to research it and I just put it in, boom, what I was looking for popped up. When I was looking for it the other day, I had to search through like page and page and page online. It was somewhere Inky and Enlil.
Yeah.
But I had to search through a bunch of pages to find it. It's just like I posted today on Facebook. There was a picture, and y'all go look up the Egyptian god Nun, fertility god. There's one hieroglyph that shows, now, every hieroglyph of Nun, right? His penis is erect, because he's a fertility god. So he got an erect penis. He got a big one too. He got an erect penis. Right? There's one hieroglyph where he got some sperm shooting out, right?
Okay.
He's squirting.
Okay.
And then up from the squirt, there is a symbol that looks exactly like a sperm cell.
Okay.
Now, how these people weren't supposed to be as intellectually, technologically sound as we are. Well, how would they know that? You didn't know Hitler grew up. It was very quietly kept for a long time, but you know, as history goes, information comes out.
Yep.
And when the information is out there, I'm gonna see if I can find this real quick. And the information comes out there, it's like, then people get to find out what really goes on. It's just like with the hey, how you doing? What if? I watched the What If episode today. Welcome, apprentice. That means he's a member. I found that out last week.
Oh, okay.
Egyptian god Nun. I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick. Egyptian god Anun. Oh Lord, this thing just.
This is the god of fertility, right?
Yeah. I want to show y'all this. This ain't got nothing to do with what we talking about. Egyptian god of fertility.
Yeah. Sure.
All right. I want y'all to see this. This image. Oh shit! I think it was right there. And nobody expressed.
Is that?
Yeah, that's him. See this big old penis?
Yes, I see it.
Nobody expressed this. All right, I'm gonna show the baby first. What that look like? What that look like?
Okay.
See,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if y'all can see this. How well y'all can see.
Pull it back a little bit.
No, they got it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, y'all see his penis? You see the little squirt out? You see that sperm cell right there?
Right here.
Yep. Now the eye and the half sun above it, the eye represents renewal or regeneration. And the half sun, of course, is life, Ra. So the regeneration of life from the male penis that has sperm cells. See that? Let me show Facebook.
Let me see if we can. It's a glare.
There we go. Wait a minute. There you go. See the penis? Little jizz, and then the sperm cell.
Jeez.
Yep. And you see the eye of regeneration and the sun for life. Now I show y'all that because once I put in Egyptian god fertility, that was easily found, right? I guarantee you 5 years from now, it's gonna be hard to find that.
Yeah.
Just like that hieroglyph that showed helicopters and airplanes and stuff, they had that hidden for like 20, 30 years until they uncovered it. It was covered by a little cloth. They had a cloth over it. I mean, they really wasn't doing a good job. They had a little cloth over it. But yeah.
They're so brilliant.
So, yeah, that's we probably gonna do these later in the evenings or earlier in the mornings. I'm gonna do these.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Another job.
I meant we, like me and them.
Oh, well, you go ahead.
We're gonna do
But
these.
Thank you for letting me sit in that. It was fun.
Yeah. I'm trying to get her own YouTube channel so she can talk about stuff that she likes talking about, but she don't want to listen to nobody. But yeah, so anyway,
Okay.
And baby can sing too, so I want her to do like a singing channel on TikTok, but she don't want to listen to nobody. Was that like a TV, like a
I get a little
1970s TV?
that. Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So,
It really does look like a TV.
and 3 pyramids. That's being, well, it's a bowl actually. It's got 3 pyramids on the side of the bowl. See, people don't pay attention to these details. Go look at that picture. Look up Noon Fertility Guide. Look for the one where you got a little sperm cell. They don't want people. They don't want us to know this stuff. They don't want us to understand this stuff. That's why I'm going through this book because people are like, oh, you need to read your Bible. But when we read it, what do we see? We see foolishness. We see even more reasons why this is not to be accepted as the inerrant word of God.
Yeah,
Because it's filled with errors. It's filled with contradictions.
it's not something to be taken literally. Yeah, there's some truth in it. Yeah, there's some things that you can take out and it can help you in your life.
Yeah.
Okay, some lessons and things of that nature.
Thou shalt not kill.
Okay,
I wouldn't
yeah,
say that's bad. That's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
They just
thou
need to
shalt
learn
not
it.
steal. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, they did it right after they said it, but
No.
But when we see things like the very first words in this video, the very first words, not in this video, but the very first words when we started reading this book was, and all the world had one language. But we know that the chapter right before it says that that everybody of Japhet's children went away, scattered, and they all had their own language. You can't tell me this is the inerrant word of God and you making those are silly mistakes. Those are, I'm in the 6th grade writing an essay mistakes. That is not, you wouldn't get that past your teacher in the 12th grade, in the 10th, 11th, 12th grade.
Yeah.
If you're writing an essay. It wouldn't work. If you was writing your PhD dissertation and these people were supposed to have been scholars, they would not have gotten past it. How do you get these scholars together to redact this book in the 500s up to 300s? That's 200 years of scholars redacting this book from the southern and northern kingdoms, and they are missing those mistakes.
But see, the thing is,
And they're supposed to be inspired by God.
But yeah, and that's the thing.
They not.
That's the whole thing. It's not inspired by
They're inspired by political
it's not,
ambitions.
Exactly.
Political ambitions. This is to make the Hebrew people look good. This is a book of propaganda to make the people look good. Just like when I went to Russia and I read a Russian history book, the Russian history book makes the Cold War seem like America was the enemy. Whereas as an American kid growing up, you read the history books, it makes the Russians and communism look like the enemy, where they make capitalism look like the enemy. So the perspective of the group in control dictates what the people are going to do. And that still goes on today, and we can take what we know of that kind of human mentality and put it in the same space and know that that is exactly what was going on. So when you look at it from that point of view, it changes your lens of how you review and look at and read this stuff, and makes you realize that if the people in power are writing this to control the people, then the people using it today are still using it the exact same way. And every other thing, you watch the news. If you can watch the news and know that Fox is spinning the story one way, and ABC or NBC is spinning it another way, or CNN is spinning it another way, you will easily say, well, Fox is pro-right, so that's why they're saying it like that. And CNN is pro-left, and that's why they're saying it like that.
And if you knew and understand that neither one of them is pro-you.
Right. Neither one of them is pro-you.
No, none of them is pro-you.
Especially if you got some melanation in you.
Okay.
So then you have to look at this book and say, okay, these Hebrew people were writing this to be pro-Hebraic. I don't know if that's a real word. It is a real word.
Yeah.
But they're making it, I don't know if I use it right. But they're being pro-Hebrew. So of course the Canaanites are evil, the Egyptians are evil, the Chaldeans are evil. Everybody's evil but us. And even when we wrong, God blesses us.
That's right.
Because Abraham straight up pimped out his wife.
Really?
Yeah.
Sure did.
Sure did.
And at the same time, you are now putting them up on a pedestal above everyone else. That's the same thing. This is Abraham. Now people will say the same thing. If you bless the Jews, then you'll be blessed.
Right.
So a lot of people are now, they don't find anything wrong with that particular state receiving so much, because we're supposed to bless.
But think about what it says though. It told Abraham, it said that whoever you bless, I will bless. So that means the Jewish person should be saying, in order for me to be
Be
blessed, let me bless these other people. So instead of taking from people, let me bless the black people, bless the white people, bless the Indian people, bless the Palestinians. I will bless them so that I can then be blessed. So the fake Jewish state in Israel should be saying, we're not going to take, kill, and kill these Palestinian people, because according to our book and according to what God said to Abraham, we're going to bless the Palestinians, and then God will then bless us back. But that's not how it happens.
No.
Right? It's, Abraham sleeps with Hagar against her will. She didn't say, yes, I want to sleep with this man.
No.
Yes, I want to have a baby by this man. And she wasn't blessed. He wasn't blessing her, and it's her blessed. She didn't get a blessing. She got kicked out to the curb.
Abraham, another first of Abraham. Abraham was a baby daddy. And he put his baby mama out.
He put his baby mama out.
The baby and the baby mama, and left them to fend for themselves.
Exactly. And I know we glorify this in the black community sometimes, but back in the day, a man has a wife. Right? And there was a movie with Denzel Washington that showed this too. Man sleeps with a wife, has his wife, they have a child. Man goes down the street and sleep with the other woman.
Mm-hmm.
They have a child.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard many black people tell me that their grandmothers did this. Then the woman goes down and said, that's his child. I'm taking that child.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about the story, and we're getting into it, but we should not be. Sarah says, I'm going to give my handmaiden to you so that way we will have a child. So in their mindset, if the child was birthed through the father, was seeded, or the sperm was provided by the father, then the wife has a right to take that child. And there's so many black people, especially here in Atlanta, that I know of, where their grandmothers went and took the child from the mistress. Just like Ishmael was taken initially, Sarah had her own child, was taken and was said to be Abraham and Sarah's child. And people still do that kind of nonsense. Because we have this ingrained in our subconscious that this is the right thing to do. That I can take another woman's child if my husband sired that child.
Well,
And that's stupid.
I wouldn't take the child. I'll send him over there with them. If that's where the hell you're going to be, you got baby over there.
Well, you do that
You have to
today because women have value. Back then, what value do you have as a woman? Your value is in whether or not you can have a child.
And that's it.
That's your value.
And that is it.
If the husband doesn't value for that, no.
Because there's several women in the Bible, and that's all they're crying for is a son.
Yeah.
They ain't even crying for a child. It's
A
funny
son.
because they want a son.
Because if the husband died, then the son inherits the husband's property and be able to take care of the mother. But if the husband dies and all you got are daughters, then you don't get shit.
But what about the mother?
She don't get nothing.
So if the husband dies, the wife, the widow, doesn't get anything?
Yeah. You're supposed to take care of the widows, but
So if she doesn't have any sons, then what's supposed to happen?
she just Ruth and Boaz story, right?
Okay.
Naomi has a husband.
Mm-hmm.
Naomi then has two sons, Mahor and Nahor. Whatever. No, not it's.
I don't remember the
I forgot
son's name, but I know it's Orpah and
it's Oprah and Ruth. But they
Oprah
have
and Ruth.
it's Malon and somebody else on, right?
okay,
The husband dies.
okay.
Because remember, they went to Moab, which was
Yeah.
impossible since in Numbers they destroyed all the Moabites. They genocided them. But they go to Moab somehow, miraculously.
The land of the Moab, where the Moab people used to be.
Right. But no, because they married Ruth, and Ruth and Oprah are Moabite women.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the husband dies, the two sons dies.
Mm-hmm.
Naomi says the Lord has turned his back on me. She says we gonna go back, and I ain't got shit, right?
Okay.
They go back, but Ruth and Naomi will go back. Naomi will go back, and then remember she's just getting the leftover wheat.
Mm-hmm.
Now once Ruth sleeps with Boaz, she sat at his feet.
No, she said
And-
she's
and,
got in his
and
bed.
spent tonight with
She
him.
got in his bed, and that's another thing.
Wait,
Like,
hold
what
on.
kind of woman?
Oh, go ahead.
What?
So after she sleeps with him,
Mm-hmm.
Then Boaz said, "Don't tell no damn body that I slept with you, chick, because now we got to pull this okie doke on the elder, because one of his cousins is the elder of the village."
I got to read
Right.
that. So
When they pulled the okie doke on him, be like, "Look, bruh, you know that was Imelech's, or I think his name was Imelech. That was Imelech or Imeshite, something like that name.
Mm-hmm.
That was his wife, and they had sons, and the sons are dead, and he dead. Now, if you take this, if you take Naomi, if you take on Naomi and Ruth, then you, and people don't understand, he had to take Naomi and Ruth. When you take Naomi and Ruth, you will then get the land that that their brother had, the man had.
Okay.
But when he like, but you know that Naomi young, she gonna want some children, and you gotta raise some children. And the dude was like, "Man, I'm too old for that bullshit." And he was like, "Well, fine, I guess I'm next in line, so I'll take it." So that's when he took off his left shoe and gave it to him to show a sign of the deal.
Okay.
And then Naomi
This.
became his wife, which then Boaz inherited all the land from the cousin who had died, the older cousin who had died.
Okay.
So the land and all his possessions passed to him because the women cannot own the land. So if you're a woman and you don't have any sons, and all you got are daughters, and the husband dies,
You never had.
some of the next cousin, relative, uncle, whatever, gets the land. The woman doesn't.
Wow.
So y'all value to these people,
It's
your
nothing.
value in this book is nothing. Y'all have no value.
Only to give birth to.
Right.
Yeah.
Now in the New Testament, yeah, because they're under Roman rule and they're governed by Rome, Martha was able to have shit because she's governed, they're going through Roman law. So she's able to have stuff because Roman law supersedes Jewish law during the Roman Empire. So that's why Martha has stuff, even though she doesn't have a husband and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But she could get shit because she got that, right?
Okay.
So it changes. Now in Islam, Hagar had that well in the oasis, but she just worked the area
Mm-hmm.
because Allah provided it for her and Ishmael.
Mm-hmm.
But in all other accounts, the woman has nothing until Rome takes over. Now a woman has some rights.
Mm-hmm.
Still ain't got a lot of rights. Because all a Roman authoritarian has to do is come in and just say, "Nah, I'm taking your shit."
Yeah.
And that's it. And you done for. You don't get nothing. So,
Alright.
so y'all don't, ladies, y'all worth stuff to me. But y'all ain't worth shit to this book. Just to let you know. According to y'all God, y'all have no value
None.
at all.
At all.
At all.
At all.
And this book just keeps showing you example after example of that. With Abraham just giving away his wife. And then
and was blessed
and was blessed.
heavily. And
why-
there was, and the only person who really said anything about it was Pharaoh. Like the Lord
Mhm.
didn't say that he was wrong for doing what he did.
And you know a popular theme that you're going to see in this book as you read it is that these people who don't believe in the Jewish God or nothing, now they do believe that you have your God and I have my God, but both gods exist. They will be like Balaam is like, "Oh, the Lord said don't curse the Hebrew people that's wandering through the desert." But Balaam was still worshiping Baal. Why would he supersede his God for the other one? And if he did, why didn't he start worshiping the Hebrew God? But he continued to worship Baal, which is why Moses and his folks still killed Balaam and Balak. You think that he would have saved Balaam, since Balaam did follow Yahweh or Jehovah's rules, because it wasn't Jehovah, it was Yahweh. It wasn't Yahweh, it was Jehovah. Followed Yahweh's rule and didn't, curse the Hebrew people, because he was like, "Don't curse my people." And he's like, "Okay, Lord." So you think that would have been enough to convert him, but he didn't convert him. Because I'm telling you right now, if God walked in this building and I was able to identify and verify that that is God, I'm about to be religious as hell. Because I'm going to be like, "That's God." Right now. So,
I don't know. I think I might have a little problem.
well, I say you got to prove it, though.
Yeah, but even if you prove it, I got some questions, man.
Oh,
we
man.
need to talk.
Yeah, I'm going to have
We
to
gotta talk.
first, I'm going to
this
think you're an
this don't
alien.
make no sense. Like,
I'm going to think you're an alien just with some technology. If somebody just materialized in here, I'm going to be like, "I watched Star Trek." You just teleported. That's all you did.
I got some questions, God.
Yeah, take me to the beginning. Take me to an earlier time frame. Time traveling, we might be. You will have me another step, but we got to do even more when we time travel. Because I ain't going for this bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm going for the okie doke. But anyway, people, good people.
Yes, ma'am.
We have went way off the script.
Yes.
I try to keep it back on script, but somebody. This is what happens when you have visitors.
The Bible is fake 4th grade, maybe less material, not worth anybody's time.
It sure ain't. It
I
sure ain't. J-Rock. But it is not. So, guys, we're going to close it out today. I appreciate you guys. Somebody got to go to work in the morning. I don't. But somebody got to go to work. I ain't got to be here till 11 o'clock. So, going forward, I know it's supposed to be every Tuesday at 8 o'clock, but that just doesn't seem to work as well because customers come in here and they want to sit and they want to smoke cigars and talk, which is good for me. But, so I would just periodically, it might be 2 videos a week, 3 videos a week, 4 videos a week that I would just do it live, whether it might be in the morning, it might be at lunchtime or in the evening, but we're just going to pop them out because Genesis is like 50 damn chapters, right? And I don't want to spend a whole year just on Genesis because there's Exodus. I at least want to do Genesis and Exodus, maybe a little bit of Numbers, and then we probably skip around the whole book after that. But yeah, we're gonna continue with this. Y'all need to read your Bible so you can understand it. We are reading it and we understanding it, but we ain't coming away with the same thing because, and then they're gonna be like, of course, the next one is, well, you didn't read it with the Holy Spirit.
You know what?
Holy Spirit show up in the next chapter. How about that? Holy Spirit. Show up in the next chapter and read it with me. And I'm still going to be like, that shit don't make no sense, Holy Spirit. What planet you from?
My tolerance, yeah.
What dimension you coming from?
Somewhere else. My tolerance, I just can't.
What control mechanism you trying to put in place?
I can't take it.
Right, so y'all have a great day. I want to thank Wakila for joining me. I was going to trick her into singing something for y'all, but I know she ain't going to do it now. I was trying to trick her into singing something, but she ain't gonna do it now.
Ain't gonna do it. How you gonna trick me into singing something?
By using reverse psychology.
Like singing what?
I don't care. I just want them to hear your voice. Just a little reverse psychology. Come on, baby. Come on, give me a little taste. This is what's gonna be going on in the lounge on August 8th, 28th.
Oh, yeah,
when she sings in here. Come on, just give me a little
I'm raspy.
I don't care. Give me a little something.
Strumming my pain with his fingers, singing my life with his words, killing me softly with his song, killing me softly with his song, telling my whole life with his words, killing me softly with his song. I heard he sang a good song, and I heard he had a style. And so I came to see him and listen for a while. And there he was, this young boy, a stranger to my eyes, strumming my pain with his fingers.
One time.
Singing my life with his words.
2 times.
Killing me softly with his song. Killing me softly with his song. Telling my whole life with his words. Killing me softly with his song. There you go.
Yes.
It's a mess.
Praise be. No, I just playing.
Hey, glory.
Yeah, she was yawning, but
Thank
that's
you,
all right.
y'all.
See?
Yeah,
Wow,
I was
that
yawning,
voice.
but yeah, when it comes to singing,
See?
thank you, y'all.
And I'm trying to get her to get a TikTok channel so she can sing. Well, she got a TikTok channel. It's what is it?
It's Wakila Shabazz.
Wakila
At
Shabazz.
Wakila Shabazz.
At Wakila Shabazz on TikTok. She gonna start singing a lot more on there. Hard-headedness.
Hey, don't be look like
Yeah.
you about to trying to
Something
drop
you
the
do.
back.
Oh no, that's
no.
we don't do that.
I know you.
We don't do that. We don't do none of that.
We don't do
Not
that.
even lightly.
No.
No. So, yeah. So she's going to be singing here at the lounge on the 28th. There's gonna be many other times singing, but y'all go to Wakila Shabazz on TikTok. Inspire her to sing more, cause she hard headed.
Let me go ahead and spell that real quick. WAKEELAHSHABAZZ.
All right.
All right.
And follow my TikTok. That's where a lot of these little TikTok little 3-minute videos come from, because I be playing with them folk. So y'all have a great day. Remember, you gotta free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibration. And we out. Audi 500. Gotta get up out of here.